All right, we're here. Welcome to the grind. I'm your host, Adam Johnson, 2ways10days.com. You can always check out the site, 2ways10days.com. Check it out here for all things NBA G League. I'm also the sideline reporter for your Santa Cruz Warriors as well. I got a few things to talk about today. We can check in around the league as well. It'll be interesting. Quick, short, brief episode, plus take your questions if you have any. Feel free to drop them in the chat. We can do that as well. Delaware Bluecoats, I think one of the best name brandings in the offseason to have changed in recent memory. You know, teams move, names are changed. They were the 87ers. Didn't really roll off the tongue like Bluecoats. A lot of syllables in 87ers. 2 syllables in Bluecoats. Nice and tight. Tight, as they say. So, congrats to them. Getting their first win. Shake Milton, 33 points on 12 of 20 from the field. Cameron Oliver doing things, 9 of 12, 20 points for him. Let's not forget the 10 rebounds here, double-double for him. Jonah Bolden as well, 12 points, 14 rebounds, double-double city. 126-111 victory over the Raptors 905, another solid team. Checking on this side. This kind of tells you what happened here. Looks like 8 active players for the Raptors 905. That's always a challenge whenever you're playing, especially, I believe, on the road in this case. Maybe not. No, maybe they're at home. But yeah, anytime you have 8 guys and you're trying to run at a clip like the G League does, it's going to be tough. Looks like Kay Felder, 9 of 23 from the field. 4 of 4 free throws. Kadeem Latin, 15 and 13 for him. Kyle Collinsworth, 16. A lot of guys chipped in here. I think he had 7 or 8 guys get to double figures. Obviously not enough. No Jordan Lloyd. No Chris Boucher. You know, when you miss a guy who's averaging 30 points a game, that's always tough to replace. So when you look at this on the surface, you might wonder how could a Raptors 905 team fall to Delaware? Well, there's going to be games like this where you don't have your two-way guys. They get called up. Maybe they're injured. There's other machinations in place. So you got to give yourself a game or two cushion to not worry about those games. In other games this past weekend, you had Sioux Falls. Let me check out Lakeland and Greensboro. Back-to-back set for these teams. Lakeland also picking up their first win, I believe, on Friday against the Greensboro Swarm, but the Swarm stung right back, I guess you could say, with their own victory. 2, 3, 4, 5. Looks like they only had 8 players as well in this one, including Chinano Unuwaku, 16 and 11 for him. Joe Cheely, the two-way player for the Charlotte Hornets, 22 points. Jalen Barford, 19. Tyler Nelson, 13. He was the third overall. No, he was not the third overall pick. Cat Barber, 20 points, 9 to 13. You know, like that. You know, like that number there. That's a good number. 66% from the free throw, 45% from 3, 37%. You kind of see right there. That's a little bit different. 16 and 19, 84% from the charity stripe. Another one there. And again, if you have any questions for the G League or anything like that, feel free to drop them here in the chat. I'll be able to see them, and we can do that as well. I want this to be an interactive show. People can have their questions answered around the spot and test my knowledge. I don't think I know everything. Hopefully I know a lot more than the average person about the G League. A lot of useless knowledge, I guess, but it's built into something so far, so hopefully I keep that ball rolling. RGV, 111-106, victory over the Stockton Kings. Brandon Sampson, 24 points. Angel Rodriguez, 12 points, 10 boards for the Vipers. Bruno Caboclo, 15 points on just 3 of 7 from the field. A lot of good distribution here on shot takes. Joe Chi, 5'11", Brandon Sampson, 6'17", 3 of 16. You'd like to see that number come up a bit. 29% from three-point, and they still pulled off the victory, 33%. Well, what's the difference here? 83%, 33 of 40. Wow. 40 free throw attempts. 60. That's a long game. Anybody foul up for the Kings here? No. Wenyen Gabriel 5 fouls for how many personal fouls? 28 personal fouls to 20. That's a lot of calls being made. Daniel House just 18 minutes, 13 points for the Vipers. Gosh, 40 free throw attempts. That just seems like a lot. It's got to be a lot. Compared to 26 for the Stockton. I mean, when you look at that, you have Stockton who lost by, 5 points? And the Vipers took 14 more free throw shots. So the difference, 33 made and 13 made. There's 13 more free throws there. And that's the difference in the game, really. I mean, you can't boil it down to one stat line. But anytime you're shooting 40 free throws, you're giving yourself an opportunity to win as long as you can make them. So that's the big difference there, certainly. Checking in other games. Well, Windy City, Wisconsin. Both teams kind of struggling out the gate. But Windy City with the 101-98 victory over the Wisconsin Herd. Wisconsin Herd recently traded for the rights to Vander Blue. In exchange, they were given the rights to Joe Bolomboy, who I believe is playing in Russia right now. I think Nicola Lupo corrected me on that this past week on Twitter. I always want to share valid info. So, that's always good. Whenever you can get good info out there. Make sure we're accurate, keeping us honest. That's always important. We can check in here, though. You got Raul Alkins, 10 points. CJ Fair, the former Mad Ant, 10 points, 10 rebounds. Mad Ant. G League champion, in fact. Michael Mulder, 18 points. Thomas Wilder, 11. Joe Kilgore, 13. VJ Beecham going against his, I believe, former team. I think he suited up for the Wisconsin. Or was he? I think he was traded. He's been traded twice this season already, I feel like. Maybe I'm wrong on that. 13 points for him. Kaiser Gates, 21. Getting a breakout game for himself. Over the Wisconsin Herd side, Christian Wood on assignment, 23 points on 8 of 15, but a minus 10. Don't like seeing that. The Bucks also have, I think, Sterling Brown on assignment. 12 points, 12 boards for him. Double-double, couple double-doubles there in a close game. 30% from 3, 36%, 28 free throws, 13. Big discrepancy there, and they still lost. Ouch. 38%, 46%, 38%. Wait. 38% from the field. 77% here. These are just... You don't win a lot of games shooting these numbers, let's put it that way. And they still eked out this victory of 101-98. The difference here really being the three-pointers. Looks like 8 of 27 and 17 of 47. Okay, well, that makes up the difference there. Shooting almost 50 three-pointers. Kaiser Gates, 7 of 16. Goodness. I mean, I think... Did he attempt... Okay, no. He attempted more than half of what the Wisconsin Herd did, though. That's a lot of attempts. A lot of attempts, certainly. Let's check in some of the games for today. As well, check around the league, see what we've got going on in the early matinees. So today we got Oklahoma City at Austin. That should be a fun one. Austin Spurs just reacquired Nick Johnson today. And waived, I believe, Corey Henderson. Texas at Iowa. I think Iowa's better than the record suggests. Texas Legends, Bob McKinnon. The G League legend. The face of G League Mount Rushmore, if there was one. I think you'd have to put him up there, certainly, given his pedigree and experience around the league. And the number of call-ups he has, I think it's close to 20, if not more. I should know better and have this answer, but he's got the most call-ups to the NBA than any other G League coach in league history. Erie and Westchester. Erie's kind of struggling out the gate. Kind of surprising, given they made the trade for Terrence Jones, who is, I think averaging close to 30 points a game. Somewhere between 25 and 30. He's going to give you quality minutes. But he can't do it himself. So I'm definitely surprised there. Westchester doing Westchester things under Mike Miller, who's in his, I believe, 4th year now with the Westchester Knicks. Only Mark Daignault, I believe, is entering his 5th season. 5th season as a coach of the Oklahoma City Blue. And I did check. Yes, Will Voigt of Bakersfield Jam has the most consecutive years coaching a single G League team. He's at 5 as well. So if Daigneault does stick around for one more year, then we could see him hold a record in that regard. So, but obviously they're doing good things, and there has to be something said about the consistency that a stable coach brings. So, I mean, I wrote an article a couple years ago for D-League Digest, back when the league was known as the D-League, kind of tracking coaching tenures. And it's usually about 2 years is the standard give or take for D-League head coaches, or G-League head coaches, excuse me. So anything more than 2 is surprising in that respect. It goes against the norm. Now that you have NBA teams bought in, though, that could change. Obviously, they want level of consistency as well within their organization. But at the same time, G-League coaches, trainers, staff, assistants, front office people are always looking for their own opportunity in the NBA. So that's the fluidity of the league, I guess, as well. You find those things too, where guys could be there just for a year. Perfect example would be Josh Longstaff was the head coach of Erie last year for 1 season. Then he finds himself on Mike Budenholzer's staff in Milwaukee, and they're off to a great start as well. So a smart move for him, certainly, to get in the NBA. Never going to fault anyone to get their own call-up as well. So you also got Northern Arizona against the undefeated, reigning, not defending, but the undefeated team, the Santa Cruz Warriors. What's not to like about that, certainly. They're the lone undefeated team in the Western Conference. The Long Island Nets are the only undefeated team remaining in the East. Warriors are 6-0. The Nets are 4-0. This will also be the 3rd time in this month, in little more than 2 weeks, that the Suns and Warriors will have played each other. So it's kind of interesting the way the schedule is played out. This will be the first time at home. The previous 2 games were on the road. And it was just this past Tuesday. Tuesday last week. The Warriors came back from an 18-point deficit to beat the Suns. Suns, I believe, are 2-4 now after a heartbreaking loss, and we can take a look at that as well. Heartbreaking victory. Heartbreaking loss to the Clippers. George King here. Let me check this out real quick. Drained the 3.
Looking, still looking. The Kobo finally fires it to King. At the buzzer, and it goes!
Beautiful. Look at that clutch.
George King from the
Look at that 3.
Mobbed by his teammates. In just a second to discuss.
Can we just pause this real quick? Can we pause this for 1 second? I mean, I really want to pause this. Let's see here. Just go back if we can. I mean, he's falling away. Let me try to put this in slow-mo. Can I do that in slow-mo? Let's go half speed. Let's turn off the sound and kind of just dig into this thing here. So let's check it out. Okobo is taking the ball out of bounds. Clippers trying to hold on tight. Sets. Fading 3-pointer. Falling back. Falls to the bench. Money. Look at that thing. They're going to review it. Obviously they did. Game. Not much else you can do on that one. Look, Clippers just smiling down here like, man, anything else we could do on that one? I mean, it was well defended. We could bring it back here a little bit further. I mean, look at that closeout. It's just like, man. Damn, but not much else you can do on that one. Well defended. George King. The king has landed. George King with the clutch bucket for the Northern Arizona Suns. Certainly. Jamel Artis with the closeout. I mean, look at that. I mean, he was that close to getting a hand on it. Like, it wasn't wide open. It was very well defended. As well as you can. And, if you're going to give up a shot, you're going to give up a 3. You're trying to defend the bucket. So that corner 3 is probably the last one you want to see. But nevertheless, the Suns prevail against the Clippers. We can take a look at the standings as well around the league. On the Nets, as we mentioned, 4-0. Greensboro Swarm, 4-1. Shinano Onuaku obviously contributing to that. Raptors now 5-2. 4-win Mad Ants started off 3-1 over the last 4. Lost one recently, but that's okay. They're doing big things as well. Grand Rapids Drive 3-3. Grand Rapids Drive. Can we check out these jerseys they wore on Saturday? Look at these things. Oh, I can't do it. Yeah, I want to end the site. Don't miss the action. Buy your tickets now. Angry Face. Get angry about your tickets. Get angry about your season tickets. Buy tickets now, or we're going to throw this ball in your face. Do it. Do it now. Is there a photo? I want to check out these jerseys that they wore, because the Grand Rapids Drive, it was 90s night last night. Angry again. I'm angry. Let me see if there's anything here about more. No. Merchandise schedule. Should have been more prepared for this, but basically, you kind of see here, this photo here, they get the 90s little flaming horse teal jersey here, looking really nice. These were auctioned off for a non-profit, as is tradition around the G League. Always looking to support the community. Always looking to support local charities. I think it's one of the big things the G League does, and does very well, is outreach. Not to say NBA teams don't. There's definitely a direct connection to local community, the micro versus the macro. I think, when you're invested and involved with the G League team, there's much more of a direct connection to that. Big fish in a small pond, so to speak, as opposed to, an NBA team which covers a larger area. So I always appreciate when teams do this, reaching out to, like I said, communities, doing it big. And that's what keeps the G League going too, is that outreach and that connection to community, and that's why it's so important, these kind of nights. And I know the Texas Legends, for example, wear a different uniform every night to auction off to charities. So that's cool, because then you don't know, every night there's a new jersey, so you don't know what they're going to be wearing, which I find interesting too. That's a lot of work to do as well. So kudos to Legends too. Definitely. New uniform every home night, I should say, not away game, but every home game. So we'll take your questions right now. Use the hashtag GLeagueGrind. We'll answer your questions on air, or like I said, drop them in the chat. So this comes from Gloria Richardson Sanderson. Big fan. What are your thoughts on the Santa Cruz Warriors' lack of three-point shooting? Well, I think they are about 33% or so. Let me pull that up real quick from the G League stats page. I think they're somewhere between 11th and 13th in the league. Let's pull it up here. Percentage. So we pull this up. G League stats page here. 3-point percentage. You find Santa Cruz is 16th. Okay. A little bit below the halfway point. 33%. So, are they lacking? Yes. They're 6-0. So, I think you obviously want to see this number be a little bit higher. But at the same time, I think the easy answer is they're missing probably two of their best three-point shooters. That's what's fascinating about their recent run, is they haven't had Marcus Derrickson and Damian Lee for a good chunk of it. Which is the exact opposite of last year. Santa Cruz really only had one two-way player last year in Quinn Cook. Yes, they had Chris Boucher, but he came back after the halfway point of the season. I think it was right after the showcase mid-January. And even then, he wasn't playing full minutes. He was on a minutes restriction as he came back. So they really had one two-way player. And we all know about Quinn Cook and his ascension to the NBA after Steph Curry's injury, and making a name for himself. So by proxy, it means he wasn't really there in the G League. I think Quinn Cook spent 29 games, just a little more than half of his season, in the G League. Warriors missed out on the playoffs. If he plays 3-4 more games in the G League with Santa Cruz, who knows? Maybe there's a playoff berth there. But I think that's a big difference. But with this team, Santa Cruz, no Damian Lee, who's probably their best three-point shooter, if not near the top. And then Marcus Derrickson also hit some threes too. You're missing those options out there. So I think that's the easier answer, that they're doing it without their two-way guys. But they're also winning without their two-way guys, which is very promising. The two-way guys, Lee and Derrickson, obviously two of the more talented players on the team. That is to say that this doesn't mean that other guys aren't getting their own opportunities. Well, we've seen Kendrick Nunn ascend. Darius Morris with a pair of double-doubles. Juan Toscano Anderson, a double-double for him as well this past Friday, for Santa Cruz, and a win over South Bay. So I think that's the most encouraging part for me with Santa Cruz, is that last year without their two-way guy, they sort of struggled. This year they're doing it without them, which means when those two-way players come back, they're only going to be that much better off and prepared for it, because they'll have more bodies, and the talent level will only increase. They're not going to get worse by adding those players, right? They're only going to get better. So to see them 6-0 is incredibly encouraging, to say the least. So, 33%. You'd like that here. Ideally, somewhere around 40%. Iowa Wolves, 1-5, and they're shooting the best 3-point in the league. 3-point percentage. That's gotta be a head scratcher. Sioux Falls, 39%. I think the key thing here, though, is to look at the attempts, right? Because there's more value the more you shoot. So let's take a look at the ratio here. So like Delaware shooting 41 per game, attempting 41 per game, only hitting 33%. Rio Grande, like this is better, right? So 38% on 38 attempts. That's something you can sort of live with. But if you look down here, it's like Iowa. Okay, they're shooting 40%, yes, but they're only taking 26 threes. So there's less of an opportunity for margin for error. So maybe they want to increase this number. I mean, it's one of the lowest in the league, to be honest. You kind of see here Westchester, they're 5-2, 2-3, 2-3, 1-5. Santa Cruz Warriors, they're 23rd in attempts. They're still winning. So that shows you what they can be. I think they want this number to be just maybe above 30 or so per game, a little bit less. But they're still getting it done. Kendrick Nunn's a guy who created his own shot, which is great. Seeing him play very well over the last few games is encouraging. But it's not the end-all, be-all. But speaking of threes, we'll have an article out this week for those of you that are watching right now on the history of the three-point shot in the G League. There was 1 year where the league decided to change the rules. It was the 04-05 season. And they said, you know what? We're not going to allow three-pointers the last 2 minutes of regulation. And by allow, I mean they wouldn't count them as three-pointers. You could shoot the shot, right? They're still at three-point line on the court, but they wouldn't count as threes in the last 2 minutes. So, I've done some research on that. Spoken to a few people about that story as well. Should be a fun one. Just kind of looking back on the history of the league and how they do experiment with rules. We found some great things there. The offensive rebound shot clock, which was changed to the NBA this year. They've tried the FIBA goaltending rule as well. They're experimenting with advanced rules, coaches' challenges, those sorts of things too. This is the league to experiment with, but kind of scratch your head on that one. What was the reason behind something like that? So I try and dive into that too in the article, so we will certainly see. If there are no more questions, though, I think I'm going to wrap this one up really quickly for today, a brief one. So I want to at least get online and talk G League for those that want to listen. Again, you can follow us over here at twoways10days.com. Your two-way contract tracker. The Grind. Here's our page for archives of shows. I need to update this. We had one additional show this past week. Definitely. So, like I said, if you ever want to catch an old broadcast, click here. You can check out, see what we're doing. Look at me. Oh, look at this. I'm wearing the same shirt. Is that depressing? Might be. Need to update my wardrobe, clearly. This is like Inception right now. Right? What's going on? Ah! All right. Let's click that off there. All right. But yeah, check out twoways10days.com. You can follow me on Twitter at AdamJ_NBAGL or at 2ways10days. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time on The Grind. See ya.